so much for tuning into Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast. This is your host, Christian D. Evans. And guys, we have someone very special, on our podcast today because we wanted to talk a little bit about the men's grooming habits, as well as not just the physical attributes of that, but also why that's so important and why some men get it wrong tremendously. And so we have an expert here that we're going to be talking about into detail, kind of different, strategies, different habits, but also, when you're on a date, when you're in a business structure, when you're doing business, CEOs, or you're talking to business clients, you want to make sure that, subconsciously that, okay, yeah, your presence and the way you look, people judge that very quickly. Really determines obviously some successful clients and some successful business deals, but also just dealing with when you're working with on a special date. So we really want to kind of dive into some really cool stuff, and so we have an expert that does all this, and so I'm very excited to introduce and have this conversation, my friend Maxim Houston. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for asking, and it's my pleasure to be on here.
Definitely. And I know you're very you've been in this industry for quite a while. But before we jump into obviously the amazing kind of reproduction of some of your your clients and kind of the massive transaction that they've had and the transformation that they've had, let me kind of know your story. I mean, what kind of got you into it, and what how did you find this passion? Did you struggle with kind of that those grooming habits and so forth, and to be able to make yourself feel better? And just kind of tell me a little bit of your story and your transformation, man.
Well, to me, it all started with style dressing. While I had always had an eye from a very early age. I mean, to give you an example, even when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I never really allowed my parents to pick out my clothes for me. I had my own style, nothing too extravagant, but I liked to dress nice. But the whole grooming thing started because I wanted to stay looking young. I was terrified of acne as a teenager, so I was looking for good face creams, good face washes, because I never wanted to have an average teenage acne. So I never had that problem because I was taken care of. I was trying to exercise, try to have a relatively healthy diet, because that's all going to impact the quality of how healthy your skin is. And then my goal, once I hit my 20s, my goal was to stay looking young. So that's when I got deeper into grooming. So that's when I got deeper into grooming. So throughout my 20s, I've tried different, all kind of creams, different face creams, different shave creams, different deodorants, cologne. So I went deep into experimenting with all of that just to see what works best, what's most effective. I tried to keep it more natural. So then I kind of combined those two kind of hobbies, two passions, grooming and style. And that's where I started helping my clients with grooming and style as well.
Gotcha. And so tell me, with that transformational story, it's nice that you had at what point in your life, I guess my question is when you started realizing, okay, hey, I need to, look presentable. And I know that, do you feel when you look presentable, do you feel more successful? Do you feel more significant? Is it a deeper meaning psychological for you?
I would say absolutely, and not just me personally, but for everybody. I wouldn't say significant because to me that's a bit too much, but confident for sure. And I'll give you an example. I think everybody can relate to this. Every single guy or gal on this call can relate to this. For example, let's say if you woke up late, you're running late, you don't take a shower, you don't pick out the right outfit, you can feel the effect of that throughout the day. And now on the other hand, if you wake up early, you get a morning workout in, you have a healthy breakfast, you take a shower, you put a nice perfume on, pick out a nice outfit, you're going to feel effects of that as well throughout the day. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to be more extroverted. You're going to be more likely to talk to someone, whether it's in dating life, relationship life, or professional life as well. But when you don't feel good, you're going to be less likely to approach that person because you don't feel good. You don't feel confident. And by not putting time and effort in the morning, that's going to take a toll on your confidence. You're not going to feel like your best self.
Yeah, which makes sense, and I always find, let me ask you, with these people that, men and women, that maybe struggle with maybe their identity a little bit, or maybe they struggle with like the physical appearance. Maybe they don't feel that they deserve to look better, or maybe they just don't know exactly the proper steps, right? What do you find most people struggle with with kind of that outward looking, kind of that grooming, that make the outfits, the whole entourage, if you will.
Well, I mean, I'd like to start out by saying, 'cause I have a couple of clients who are, they're good looking, they're attractive, but the thing is they're like really overweight. So they come to me because they want to dress nicer, they want to improve their style, but they don't feel comfortable in their own skin.
Mm.
So if they don't feel comfortable in their own skin, style and clothes and grooming, that's going to be more of a band-aid. The number one thing that's most important by far is, first of all, you want to feel good in your own skin. I'm not saying you have to look like a model, have a six-pack, and be ripped, jacked. No, you don't have to be. But you want to be in decent shape. You want to be able to climb a flight of stairs. You want to feel comfortable in your own skin. Like I recently had a client reach out to me. He's about my height. I'm about 5'7", 5'8", fairly short guy. And he weighed 307 pounds. He came to me because he helped dress him better, improve his style. He recently went through a divorce. And first thing I had to ask him, I was like, I understand it, but how do you feel good in your own skin? And like, I could tell his confidence was suffering. Mm-hmm. He couldn't look me in the eyes for, more than like 5-10 seconds. So I'm like, hey, look, I would love to help you, but I was like, as a professional, I would love to work with you, but at the same time, I have to give you a recommendation. I was like, I suggest let's focus on you getting healthier first. And once you feel good in your own skin, then we can focus on style, we can focus on grooming and all of that. But first, I was like, it's important for me to notify you that it's important to me before I work with you that you feel good in your own skin, because otherwise I would be doing you disservice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's kind of what I was trying to get to, is the psychological aspect behind it a little bit. The psychology. I know this is just a Band-Aid. That's not your goal, is to have a Band-Aid on it, but it's obviously it facilitates almost a growth opportunity, which I love. And kind of share with me some of your stories that you've been able to help your clients that you work with because of your skills. Being able to take someone, not only were you able to just work their outward appearance, but because of that, they also had inward, self-image, higher self-image, higher self-confidence, because of those just physical changes, if you will.
I mean, I had clients who were like go on a date. They had no confidence at all because they weren't they were kind of questioning their clothes. They weren't comfortable in their own skin. So I kind of helped them get better shape, pick out the right outfit, and now they feel like a whole different person. When they show up on a date or when job interviews, I had clients who didn't think they'll get a job interview, but the thing is I put them in the right suit, right outfit. It depends. Obviously, you don't want to wear a suit to every single job interview, but you put them in the right outfit, and they end up getting the jobs as well, because they were like, "There's no way I can get this job. I don't feel confident. I don't feel like I'm qualified." And we all have some imposter syndrome. So I don't feel like I'm qualified. So I kind of worked, improving their other appearance a bit, and their confidence, improved with it. So therefore, they ended up getting the job where they didn't think they would. So a lot of the imposter syndrome is you don't feel confident, and a lot of those confidence issues can be solved by just taking care of yourself, by looking good, by feeling good.
Yeah. And what I found very interesting is, and just kind of pivot a little bit, is I was talking to numerous business women that are high execs in business leadership in corporate America, as well as they own their own company, and they've actually told me that they have certain lingerie that is like a power lingerie for them, where if they know that they have a business meeting, if they're meeting certain clients, they put on this lingerie almost to facilitate this higher confidence, and not only that lingerie, but also maybe makeup or something. And I'm curious how accurate that is. Does it almost do some people almost psychologically think, okay, this outfit or whatever could be almost your battle gear before you go into that business meeting, or help you facilitate that job interview or whatever, or maybe even that to conquer that amazing relationship, or for the first date? I'm just curious how that looks for some people.
I mean, it's a fact. I mean, there's a term called power suit. We all heard it.
Yeah.
Like a guy, like he's a businessman, he's like a real estate broker, whatever. He puts on this suit and he feels invisible. He feels like he can do anything, he can achieve anything. So yes, for some it might be a pair of shoes, for some it might be like a jacket, for some for like it might be a purse. So yes, it triggers our psychological game and it takes your confidence to the next level. And like I said, it's a very common term to hear, like power suit. A lot of guys, like when they put on a suit, they feel like a different version of themselves, a much better version of themselves, a much more confident version of themselves. Why? Because they wear something that makes them feel. And I often recommend, for example, this is a bit of a side note, but a lot of people who struggle with weight loss, they don't. Reason is because they don't feel the need, the urgency. So what I recommend is I was like, hey, go buy something that you really, really like, whether it be like a jacket, a pair of pants, like a belt that you don't fit into right now. That's kind of expensive. And I was you buy that, but you can fit into it right now, but it's going to give you the motivation to lose weight so you can actually fit into it in the next couple months, so say to half a year, maybe a month. So that's going to be a lot, and actually worked for some of my clients. They couldn't lose weight, And I'm like, hey, I was like, what do you really want? I was like, do you want like a nice pair of pants, a nice suit, a nice jacket, a nice shirt? And they were like, yeah, I have something in mind. Well, I was like, I'll go ahead and buy it, but make sure you can't fit into it right now, and that's going to give you motivation to lose weight. So that's a bit of a side note. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what kind of walk me through that process a little bit, because I've never heard that, and I found that very interesting. So psychologically, what does that do for that person? Is it almost like the carrot and the stick, or is it more of just like they've created so much pain? They're like, man, I haven't been able to fit in these people, these pants, or is it like, hey, I put so much investment into these pants that I haven't fit in them yet, and I know that I want to, and so now I'm very motivated. What is it? Is it like moving away from pain, or is it moving toward pleasure more so?
Definitely more moving towards pleasure, because you want to. Yeah, there's definitely no pain. It's moving towards pleasure, because the reason being is because you bought those pants, and now you're motivated because you want to wear them, you want to be in them. It could be like a shirt, It could be like pants. It's like you want to. There might be a little bit of pain, and the reason being is it's you invest also like hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in some cases, and now it's like you want to. It looks cool, you're going to feel good in them. So now you're moving towards pleasure because the pleasure is going to be wearing that. So that gives you that boosts your motivation to not have that extra piece of, to spend an extra 10 minutes at the gym. And like within like month's time, you're going to actually be in better shape because that pulls you towards it. You want to be able to wear that piece of clothing because it's going to make you feel better. So therefore it's going to give you like a boost of motivation because you're going to be able to fit, and you can't fit into it if you continue on the same path as you are right now.
Wow. I find this very interesting because there's so much psychology in this as much as what you're doing. So now let's kind of talk a little bit more about like the physical things. Okay. So when, obviously you've got a really great style. I was looking at some of your transformation with some of your clients, the before and after pictures. And not only does it work on the outside, but also works on the inside, like we were just discussing. So when you're looking at a client, what are certain things that you go for? Because obviously some people, it may be too trendy for them, right? Their personality. And then some people, it might be more classic. Or, I'm just curious, when you're looking at a client, is it being able to figure out what they feel comfortable in and then starting from there? Or is it like, hey, this is what's trending. This is kind of what would look good on you. What is that? How does that work when you're working with a client?
But I think I have to mention, I am not very trendy. I don't like trends because it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. You want to make sure, and the good thing about guy style, it doesn't change very often. Like as far as like women's, I'm not a women's expert, like when it comes to their style, but I know it changes much, much more often than men's. So the good thing is like, I don't like trends. I'm pretty classy. So I like to kind of keep it consistent. And it's like I'm not gonna put somebody. Let's say like if I feel like like great in something, it doesn't mean I'm gonna put my client into that same thing, because if you're not comfortable, you're not gonna feel confident. So if I'm gonna take a guy and I'm gonna put him in a Italian slim suit, but he never wore a suit before, obviously, he is not gonna feel confident in that suit.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go a bit more like classic, like some less expensive, because it's all about the confidence. And like I said, if the guy feels completely out of place in that suit or in those shoes because he's used to wear like New Balance clunky sneakers all the time, you don't want to put him in a pair of Gucci loafers either. So it's all about like when I put a client into something, I can tell how he feels. I can pick him apart. You can tell by the expression on his face, like he doesn't feel good, and he could be like, this actually works, but I can tell like it doesn't work for him. So I'm gonna try something else. So it's not about what I want; it's about what works for the client, and it's always like that. It's always like that.
Okay, gotcha. So it's a very customized approach. It's not only it's a twofold almost. It's like, okay, hey, not only does this these clothes look good on you, but you also have to feel comfortable in those clothes, because otherwise it almost backfires. Right, your confidence doesn't go up because you don't feel like truly yourself and doesn't represent you, which is interesting. So, how long of a process is that? Is that within can you identify that very quickly because you're an expert at it, or does it take a while because it's just dependent upon that client? Or
But if I take a client out shopping and I was like, hey, try on this outfit, it takes seconds. You can even tell before he puts it on. So there are times I won't even have to put it on. So it's not hard to tell by the facial expression, bit of disgust, and stuff. It does not take forever. Like as an expert, I can do it. Like after dealing with so many clients, I can pick a guy out apart in seconds. You can tell by the look in his face. And the funny thing is that most men won't always say, yeah, it doesn't work for me, I'm not going to try it. They'll try it on, they'll be like, it's like, like I can wear this or I can pull it off. But the funny thing is if you take a guy, like who hasn't you had to dress, he can't coordinate an outfit, he has a terrible style, and then you put him on a extreme opposite, he is going to feel less confident because he's not the one used to that.
Right.
So you don't go from one extreme to another extreme. There's a fine balance to this, and you can usually tell by like looking at the client's face and see how he feels.
Yeah. You know what I want to find a little interesting as well, because this kind of brought up this thought process when you were just talking about this. I think there's a misconception almost in today's world where, I struggle with self-image or self-issues, or maybe like I don't know what to wear or something like that. And it's not just a matter of those kind of individuals that struggle with that kind of need this, experience and expertise like yourself. But you think about The Rock, you think about actors, actresses, politicians, they all have their own, designer, if you will, if that's what you like to call yourself. Someone that comes in alongside them and says, okay, in order to resonate with those people, in order to have, like, you have to have a persona, right? How do you want to be represented? And your brand, right? Personal branding, almost. So it's almost becoming a huge industry. And I'm just curious because you see a lot of these actors, like I said, actresses, politicians, business people. They have people like yourself that come alongside them to do a lot of that, facilitating a lot of their dress, so that they don't have to think about it, but also it's their branding. How accurate is that? And do you see the industry almost pivoting into more of the more personal brands and so forth? Do you see more of that kind of switching over to that, where you're working with designers like yourself that not only facilitate that self-image and higher self-image, but also being able to just build that personal brand, and having people like yourself facilitating that?
The thing is that pretty much every single celebrity, they have to look good.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, if you like, I've been to LA a couple times. You see a celebrity on the street, you don't like when you think of celebrity, think of expensive designer bags, expensive shoes, expensive shirts, whatever. It's all expensive. It's not really the case. Most of them are going to be in streetwear. They're going to be in athletic wear, sneakers, pair of shirts, maybe a hoodie. They don't really. But like when they're out on like on the red carpet on the movie set, they
Mhm.
have to look great, and that's exactly when style consultants come in, image consultants, and some of them have that work specifically only for them.
Yeah.
So, and for
Yeah.
them, because they're in a whole different world, an average person doesn't need all of that. Like, for example, I can spend 6 to 8, depending on like what we're doing, but I can spend 6 to 8 hours with one client, change up his whole entire wardrobe, and that's all he's going to need for the next at least few years.
Uh-huh.
Those people have constantly working, for different occasions, for different events, basically get like a new wardrobe. So like for an average person, like I can really relate to it because I never worked with a celebrity, at least not yet. But
Right.
it's almost like wouldn't be a weak comparison.
Right.
Because first of all, there's a lot of money involved in that game. They have to look good on the red carpet, on a movie premiere. Like when there's a movie set, it's all picked out. It's all picked out specifically for that.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm going for is like, I think there's sometimes a misconception that, the average person, oh, I don't need that assistance, right? Image, I think you said image consultant. I think that's a better terminology for it. But like, I don't need those consultant. But in reality, some of the best higher performers, they all have those image consultants, and it's actually a massive investment into your own into your own personal brand. Taylor Swift, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. You got all these people. They have this brand. If you think about them, and I'm just curious, are you seeing more of that now in this generation because people are a little bit more cognizant? You have social media, you have YouTube, all this stuff. Are you seeing more of that where it's more cognizant and more? We have to be more aware of our image to make sure that we have this brand, and is it becoming more necessary, I guess.
In general, like if I have to speak for a common man, I would say the style has gotten worse because you watch movies back. I mean, I'm 30 years old, so I wasn't around back in the day. But you watch movies from 40s, 50s, every single guy was polished. He looked good. There were no ripped jeans. There were no baggy suits. Now you see and this is a good example like you see. You go over to like a nice restaurant, a nightclub, and you see a guy, he's thinking he's so cool, he's dressed sharp, he's wearing a suit. But the problem is, the suit that he's wearing, it's too baggy, the pants are bunched up, and he looks like a mess,
Yeah.
he thinks, but he doesn't know better. So I can take the same guy, take him out of a suit and put him in a t-shirt and jeans, very basic, very casual, that fits him nicely, and he's going to look infinitely better. So one thing I like to emphasize always is, it's not about the fit. I'm sorry, it's not about what you wear, but it's about the fit. So like I said, I can take a guy who is wearing a suit that doesn't fit him properly, put him in a t-shirt and jeans, look way better. But yeah, I think back in the day, guys were better dressed. The clothes fit them nicely. They didn't have the sex trafficking. But now I think it's like all over the map, and you have now people dressing just to be different, And even a lot of big YouTubers, look at what they're wearing. They're not all dressed up. But my whole point, like to emphasize, because people think image consulting is all about how you look from the outside. No, I mean, yeah, that makes a difference because of first impression. First impression made in the first 7 seconds. And you could be the best, kindest, smartest person in the world. But people aren't going to notice. They're going to see you for the first time and they're going to judge you by what you wear. Like, are you dressed nicely? Does your clothes fit you properly? Or are you some like mess with your hair all over the place? Your beard and cap, you have body odor, and your clothes just doesn't fit you right. So that's the first impression. Yeah,
Definitely. Well, see what's in it.
Go ahead.
Right. Well, I was actually. Well, I was just going to say this, and I found this very interesting. So, I follow a lot of marketers, and Dan Kennedy, he's got a specific. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's in direct response marketing. But he's got a very distinct facial hair, right? It's got the little bar handles and so forth. And I'm curious, when you're working with some of your clients, that are like a social, image consultant, do you also help them almost facilitate, a brand? Like, hey, this is what you want to be represented as, and how you want to, um, be remembered. I guess in essence, being spontaneous, wearing bright colors that will grab people's attention to facilitate, obviously, attention for yourself or for your brand or just for your own personal kind of focus.
So, I mean, honestly, I don't go that far because for me to do that, I have to be very familiar with their field, what they do for a living, like with their coworkers, who they work with, their clients. So don't go. But the thing is, like overall, like I think when it comes to style, if you look clean, you have like a nice suit on, you can go different places to visit. So it doesn't have to be for Dan Kennedy. I'm sure it's like his style. That what gives him confidence, what makes him feel good. That what works for him. So I'm not gonna come in and tell him, hey, shit, oh, it doesn't work for you. So to each person, like they have their own, like like what do you call like their style. It's very unique for them, and if it works, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna come in and tell him, hey, shut it off. But
Right.
overall, like most of my male clients, they come to me because they know my style, and they were like, hey, you look good, like I wanna help you improve. So they're not coming to me to help them improve like their brand and stuff because they know how I dress. A lot of it's like word of mouth. And to me, it's pretty conservative. It's pretty simple. I don't do anything extravagant. It's all about conservative. It's because you don't want your clothes, your style screaming for attention. You want to look good, but in a subtle way. And what I say is, you want to look great effortlessly. So you don't want to look like you're putting too much time and effort into your grooming, into your appearance to where like you're screaming for attention. And that's why exactly I'm pretty conservative because I want my clients to look great, but I don't want them to look like they're trying too hard. They're spending hours. So that's pretty much what I'm all about.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah, because and then it kind of creates another question. Do you recommend your clients to always stay in that kind of that higher end looking good all the time? Like for example, okay, you go to the grocery store, hey, I forgot some milk, okay? Do you and you're in your pajamas, your workout gear. Do you recommend them, hey, change and switch into something good looking to go over there? Now I know we're kind of getting off the tangent, but the reality is that is me in a nutshell. I enjoy going back because I want to make sure I look presentable no matter what, even if I'm going to the grocery store real quick and I got to grab something, which I don't go that often. But my point is if I'm ever going out, walking out, I try not to look, kind of shabby. I look presentable because you never know who you're going to meet and what that looks like. So my question is do you help people just really focus on their image consultant in specific larger, job interview, dating, business conference, stuff like that, or hey, it's a total life switch?
That's a great question. I'm actually really glad you brought this up. So you want to look good all the time. And I'm not saying you got to wear a three-piece suit all the time or you have to wear dresses. No, no. But you don't want to be wearing obviously pajamas out in public. So, for example, it's like if I hit the gym in the morning and I want to stop by a coffee shop before or after, or I want to stop by a grocery store after my workout. Right now, like you can even get workout uniforms, but it's like joggers, t-shirt that fit you so nice. They don't look like your basic sweatpants and your hoodie. So, and now, with COVID for the past few years, a lot of people are working from home. So people think, like, well, hey, I'm at home. I'll be on video calls all day long. Nobody's going to see me below my neck. Who cares? Who cares? Well, you care. Yeah, you care. The reason why you care is because if you're going to wake up, I'm not saying you got to put a suit on again or a blazer or a sports jacket with a button-up shirt, but you want to put some time and effort into your appearance because how you're dressed, how you feel, it's going to affect how you feel about yourself. So if you're going to feel shitty because, like you skipped on putting an extra 5 minutes to your grooming into picking out the right outfit, even though you're going to be at home and not a soul is going to see you in person, you're still going to feel it and it's going to directly impact your work performance, your work output. So don't make the mistake, hey, like, oh, I'm just going to the grocery store. hey, you could go to the grocery store and you could meet potential love of your life, a potential business contact, your future boss. And if you don't feel good, you might not even talk to this person. And if you do talk to this person, you might be shy. You might not feel good. And that person is also going to be judging you because if you have your hair all over the place, like I said, your beard's unkept, you're wearing pajamas,
Right.
I mean, chances are they're not going to take you seriously. So yeah, and I mean, like, I get it. It's easy to think, okay, I'm going to the grocery store to get some milk, some eggs. Who cares, But you never know who you're gonna meet. Like, for example, I went out Sunday night to a coffee shop, and I mean, I wasn't dressed too bad. I wasn't wearing like pajamas, but I wore jeans and a hoodie. They looked pretty good, but again, I was like, I'm just gonna go out to a coffee shop, get some coffee, work on a little project for my business. I was like, who cares? So I happened to bump into a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a couple of years, and he was with a girl, so we ended up. They invited me out for a couple of drinks, so I went out and I met this gorgeous girl. Like, I had this instant connection with her. And I was like, damn, I wish I would put a bit more effort. I didn't expect. I was like, I'm going to go out for a couple of hours, get a cup of coffee. I was like, that's it. I was coffee shop. I was like, my back is going to be facing everybody. Like, I'm going to be in the corner. I was like, nobody's going to see me. Boom. I bumped into a friend of mine. They invite me out. I ran to this tiny girl. And that was like, I wish I would have put. So you never know. That's like when you least expect it. When you
How did that evening turn out? Did you get to take her home, or did you have another second date?
I scheduled a date, but I did not take her home this night. No.
Well,
I might have if I'd have been dressed better and I would have felt better.
I love it. I love it.
And here's the crazy part: we actually ended up at a very nice spot. We didn't go to some random bar, we ended up at a nice spot. So I almost felt out of place. Now, the good thing is I had a pretty nice pair of jeans on and a nice merino hoodie. So it wasn't some basic Champions hoodie or a Nike hoodie. But still, I was like, damn, I wish I would have put. But the whole point is, when you least freaking expect it, when you least expect it, stuff like this happens. I end up at a nice bar restaurant meeting like this gorgeous girl who had a connection with. So, But
oh, that's a perfect example.
Yeah. It happened 3 days ago.
Oh, it's just recently too. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, I'm glad you're saying this because I think it is a life transformation, right? Because now all of a sudden you lift your whole being up. It's not just in those specific atmospheres where you look good, right? Kind of the Sunday dress, right? Just on Sundays I bring out my suit. It's every day I'm looking good. Like you say, you may just have a button down or something like that, which is really cool. And let me ask you as well, because I think, like we've all been to Walmart, right? And we've all had those experiences where you got those people that got some pajamas, they got their thong hanging out, they got all sorts of sandals and all crazy stuff. What I find so interesting about that is that, it's almost a really powerful image of their own self-image, right? If you present yourself this way, then this is how you feel about yourself. This is how you. And a lot of people justify it as, oh, I don't really need it, or oh, I'm fine. This is just who I am. And I'm just curious, because I think we've all come to that point. Some people, and coming back to the psychology of this a little bit, because I think this is just really, really intriguing to me. When you work with heavier people, right? It's hard to almost, I guess, what's your strategy when you're working with heavier people? I guess what that looks like. When you got someone that is heavier, do they want to hide their weight, or do you just kind of leverage their weight in the right way and focus on different body parts or different body positions that'll actually help kind of accentuate the right aspects of their body?
You definitely want to leverage it for sure. And what many people don't realize is there's ways to kind of hide it a bit to make them look better. So, for example, wearing dark. This is number one mistake I noticed, like some of my higher clients make. I often put a lot of my clients in like slimmer fit or classic. They're thinking like a scuba suit is going to be really tight. You don't want to wear baggy clothes when you're heavier set. You want to have clothes that actually, obviously not too tight, but, hug your body in the proper ways. And that's going to make you slimmer. Also, darker colors, black colors, are going to make you look slimmer. So there's a way to work around it. Yeah, there's a way to work around it by wearing darker colors, by not wearing loose clothes. That will actually magnify the good aspects of your body and kind of diminish a bit the negatives.
Mm, which makes sense. Like the closer to the breast region, right? That it's more of a almost like that higher mid range is a little bit thinner, of course, and they kind of emphasizing that a little bit more. Um,
Yeah, like I said, my biggest thing is like I like to go with darker colors for somebody,
okay.
and like it's all about the fit. It's so common to think, like a lot of guys say, like, well, I can't really wear slim fit or anything. So it's gonna be loose because then it's like if I wear like a little bit roomier clothes, it's like my bad parts are not gonna be as visible. While I was nothing a bit further from the truth, you still want to wear clothes that's properly fitted because if you
Uh,
do, you can take a guy who is, like pretty chunky and overweight, and you can make him look a lot slimmer, a lot better by using the right colors, by using the right fit, to where he is gonna look in the mirror and he's be like, wow, like this is actually, I feel much better because I look better, and I can't really like all those parts of me that I don't like. It's not really quite as noticeable.
mm. So what colors are you talking about that would facilitate kind of a better look or better feel? What would that look like?
My go-to color is black, but you can also use like the navy blue.
Mm,
You can use gray. I would wear like white colors. I wouldn't wear like like light gray. But black
okay.
is my go-to color. Like I was experiencing like this navy blue, black, but black is my favorite color to go in those kind of situations. Now, on the other
Okay.
hand, if you're a very slim guy and you're insecure about how skinny you are, on the other hand, you want to go with lighter colors. You don't want to be wearing black. I love black. I'm fairly slim, like about 5'7", 5'8", 140 pounds. I love dark colors because they're elegant, they're cool. But again, I'm very confident who I am in my shape. But a lot of guys who are not, who are really slim, I don't put them in black. I put them in lighter colors. That's gonna make them look taller. It's gonna make them look maybe a bit more muscular.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So like now speaking of colors, what goes well together? I've seen some people wear black suits with brown shoes, and that actually looks pretty sharp. However, though, if you're wearing gray pants, just casual gray pants, and then brown shoes, it doesn't look that well. So uh, or it really just depends on the shoe and so forth. But I've seen some interesting kind of coordination, if you will. And I'm curious, what do you see in regarding to some of those browns, grays, and blacks and so forth?
I mean, honestly, I've seen it before. Guys wearing brown shoes with like brown belt and a black suit. I can see like horses, but I would personally never wear that. I think like you take a charcoal suit and you put it with a gray, I'm sorry, not gray, but it with a brown pair of shoes. I think it looks way better. It does. Yeah, yeah. Great. First of all, if you're gonna be buying a suit, don't buy a suit. Your first suit in black. I'll go with like navy blue or gray. A bit more personality to it. But gray, like I would wear a black suit only with black shoes.
Interesting.
Brown, I don't
Okay.
know. Like I said, I've seen it before. It doesn't really. I don't think black and brown. I had that experience, like back in middle school, back in seventh grade. I wore so I basically overslept and I was running late for the bus. So I was pretty on, like my black jokers with a brown t-shirt, and I was getting like weird looks all day. And I'm like, what's going on? I was like, why is everybody looking weird at me? I'm in seventh grade. I was like, like here I am wearing black joggers with a brown t-shirt, and everybody goes to me.
uh,
It's like they're looking at me, and I'm like, "What's up?" And they're like, "Why are you wearing?" It's like, no, brown and black don't really go together. So I mean, I was like over 20 years later. No, hold on. Yeah, 17 years later, I still do not forget the day. 17 years later. So so, so because of that, I had never worn black with brown again.
Nice. Okay. Okay. So, and which makes sense because I have seen some of that, and that's why it's I've always heard black and brown never go together, but these were they were lighter colors with the darker black. But I agree with you having some sort of black shoes and so forth. Maybe have a different color of socks that help kind of facilitate kind of a little transition from that, which is nice. Now, also, do you find that there are certain power colors that are good on men versus women, or fat versus young, real skinny, or mid-size, or what I should say
Power
fat. I
colors
should say heavier set.
have it. So to me, I would say black is definitely like more elegant power color. Black, gray, navy blue, darker colors are definitely. I mean, pink would not be one of them. but it, but yeah, to me, when I want to feel great, I usually wear black or I usually dark gray, charcoal gray. Those are two of my favorites. So if anybody looking for like a power color, the type of choices would be dark gray, charcoal gray, and black for sure.
Okay. Well, see, I tend to go toward more of a plain suit whenever I'm performing in front of a coaching or a consultant or speaking or anything like that. I tend to go for a plain black or gray or some sort of dark suit. And then what I always like to do is I like to have some sort of striped kind of blue, lighter blue, kind of yellow, maybe a tinge of some sort of color as my shirt, and then of course no tie. And the reason behind that is because a lot of business people, they tend to do just more white base as their shirt. And I'm just curious, do you find that as kind of a power thing, or is it more of just something that is just a different kind of little
I
trend?
would say, yeah, I mean, there's definitely the whole power thing, but to me, it's all about confidence. So whatever makes you feel good, whatever makes you feel great. So for example, like some guys might feel great in black suit, other guys might feel better in like purple suits. Like I know guys who wear dark purple suits. So if that works for them, I'm not gonna tell them, hey, go put a black suit on. So yeah, what I do is obviously like I help guys dress better, but to them I have to find out, like, hey, what do you feel good in right now? Because a lot of guys have style, they have their own preferences. So you cannot take a guy who is used to wearing, one thing, like if his favorite color is also like gray. I'm not gonna be like, hey, go put a black
Yeah.
on because it's a power suit. So yeah, power is one thing, but another thing is like it's all about confidence. So what color makes you the most confident? For me, it would be either chocolate gray or black. A lot of guys hate black. They're not gonna wear black. So I'm not gonna tell them, hey, go get a black suit or go get a black polo. So yeah, but I mean, to me, I would say, if you're talking strictly about the power colors, I would say black and charcoal gray. But
Oh,
you got to
great.
first think about
Interesting.
what makes you feel most confident.
Yeah. So the underlining thing that you find is the black. The black is what is just a good, consistent color that really is powerful, but also represents, kind of it fits well with the heavier individual, but also, lighter colors tend to be more for, skinnier individuals, accentuates different aspects of their body and their features. Let me ask you, when you're working with a client, because I know people are stubborn, right? Let's be honest. And some people may not, it may look really good on them, right? Whatever that outfit is, but they may not feel comfortable. Do you just push them just to say, hey, you know what? I think you would just try it and see what kind of, outcome you get, or what kind of compliments you get, and just to kind of facilitate that growth a little bit for them. Just put them out their comfort zone.
Well, to me, I'm very selective with who I work with because when I first arrived, I would take it on anybody, and they'll be so stubborn. They'll be like, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. So my first question I asked, I was like, are you willing to take my suggestion? Are you willing to listen to it?
Oh,
I was like, so a lot of clients who come to me are already pretty open-minded and that want my help. I mean, of course, every once in a while, I'm going to run across a client who is like, I don't like this, that's not going to work. But now I go through a whole process to make sure they're going to be open-minded because they're coming to me. So they got to be open-minded to advice. They got to be open to my opinion. So I used to deal with this kind of situation when I was first starting out, but now I became more selective with who I work with because I don't want to spend 8 hours at the mall at the department store with somebody who is going to question me on everything. I'm a professional. I'm an expert. I'm like, I understand you probably have your own opinion and your own style, but I was like, you got to listen to me.
Mhm. I love that
So
because you pre-frame them and say, "Hey, I've got solutions. I can help you. I can make this happen for you. But do you want it? And are you going to actually implement it?" And then you're working with the right caliber of people. I love that. I love that approach because if you're not willing to grow, you're not willing to embrace kind of the little bit of uncomfort to really facilitate that higher self-image, that higher self-confidence, the ability to really perform at a higher level. That's really what it takes, and it's really really awesome. Love that. So let me ask you, Maxim. Obviously, you're an image consultant. You love what you're doing. You've been able to make an impact on a lot of these amazing transformational stories with your clients. How can some of our listeners reach out to you if they need more of, kind of your content and your expertise?
I'm mostly active on Instagram. It's Maxim0428. That's my main platforms where I put out a lot of my content. Facebook as well. It's Maxim Houston. Like Maxim is a magazine. Last name is Houston, like Houston, Texas. You can reach me at my email at maxim.houston@hotmail.com.
Awesome. And
So
I know you're on LinkedIn as well. So perfect. And those social media links, guys, those will be in the description below. So make sure you reach out to him, connect him, follow him as well as direct message him as well, which is very valuable. And again, Maxim, before we let you go, I just want to say thank you for just bringing your amazing expertise on this. I know this is a different kind of, talk today. However, I do think it's very, very important because I'm seeing a massive, shift toward, more awareness around this. And, a lot of people, and again, it's okay that we invest a lot of our, energy and resources, actors, actresses, politicians invest a lot of money into image consultants to make sure that they're positioning themselves correctly, CEOs and so forth. So high caliber people do this. And I think this is a very important conversation to have. But also really good little tidbits that you brought, black as the baseline. But before we let you go, is there any last words you want to share with our audience?
yeah, like I said, it's all about the mindset. People don't realize how important this is because today's world is very competitive, and you want to get every single advantage you can on somebody else. And a lot of guys don't pay attention to what they wear. So I'll say like there's a job interview, there's a potential business meeting where you're going to try to close a client. One guy shows up, like he's wearing his baggy suit, doesn't fit him well. It's like two sizes up, pants are bunched up, shoes are all scuffed. And then you show up and you have a nice suit on, your shoes are sparkling. You're going to have the advantage because they're going to take you more seriously. I mean, considering all the other qualifications are equal, you're going to get the foot up on this other person. And also the biggest thing and what's important to me is the psychological aspect of it. So just because, like I said, you working from home, don't skip on that. I'm not saying you got to be wearing a suit at home, but definitely put some time and effort into feeling and looking your best. Because if you do, it's going to impact all your interactions over Zoom call, over cell phone, and you're going to have better work performance as well.
That's awesome, guys. And that is my friend, image consultant expert, my friend Maxim Houston. Guys, make sure you follow him. Make sure you reach out to him. He's got a lot of good Instagram content that he push out a lot of good tips and tricks and some of his clients' transformation, which is really awesome. Maxim, I really appreciate you joining us with Journey with Christian D. Evans podcast, guys. Remember, be uncommon. Until next time.